PUCL, they are the Human Rights Activist Group of India, Civil Liberties Group. They conducted a press conference in which very important people participated. Also, they have registered their protest against the arrest of human rights activists in Fr Stan Swamy. Therefore, here what we are going to do is, in this session, after my introduction, a short video clippings will be shown by Febin, and then that will be followed by each leader in our meeting, whoever is here now, among the NTs, we have just put some names. If they are there, they will be reading their portion. Otherwise, you'll be able to see that material on the screen. You can read it as you see that. And like that, we'll go on continuously. By the end of all the readings, I think we will get a kind of a sense out of this particular issue. It's a little complicated issue, and then we need to understand. Only then we'll be able to understand the great work done by Fr Stan Swamy for a period of about 40 years. This is the plan of this today's program. Now I will begin with one or two sentences of introduction. After that, Fabin will be asking one by one to read their portion. PUCL organized a virtual press conference on 21st October 2020 to condemn the illegal arrest of Fr Stan Swamy of Jharkhand and 15 other activists in the Bhima Koregaon case. The press conference was to create a platform for different civil society groups and political parties to jointly condemn the brazen abuse of UPA by the central government against dissenters and demand repeal of draconian anti-human rights laws like UPA and anti-sedition law. The following is a summary of the speeches made by different speakers. Now over to Fabin to moderate the session.
Yeah, thank you, Father. So shall I share that video?
Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
And I'm here in solidarity with all those joining to protest the shocking arrest of 83-year-old Fr Stan Swamy, a patient of Parkinson's disease, suffering from serious health issues, who has spent 4 decades of his life working with poor people and tribal people, and who has been inexplicably arrested by our government. I must say, for our country, the challenge we're all facing as a civilization is how to make progress in the future of the most deprived and marginalized sections of our society. Various people try and do what they can help. Some of us as lawmakers, some of us as writers and opinion shapers, some of us as social activists, some of us as religious and social leaders. Everyone has a role to play, and so does the government, which has ultimately the responsibility entrusted to it by our voters and taxpayers to deliver justice, hope, and progress for the poorest and weakest sections of our society. Today we have seen that an 83-year-old man was arrested more than 2 weeks ago now from his residence near Ranchi, and at the same time his computer, his mobile phone, all sorts of items have been confiscated. He has been interrogated and he has been detained without any regard for his health, his principles, and his own idealism. As one who has benefited myself from a Jesuit education, I am convinced that no Jesuit priest would ever be guilty of either violence or incitement to violence. The charges of these seem to me to be preposterous. Here is a good man who has worked and lived with the Adivasis of the Kolhan region, who has learned to help them, actually studied in order to work more effectively for social change, worked at the Indian Social Institute in Bangalore, and at the same time spent a quarter of a century in Jharkhand, only devoting himself to Adivasi rights. Such a person deserves our respect, deserves our support, deserves all the encouragement we can get, because those of us who have a conscience would want to see him succeed in his noble and often thankless task. Instead, we see him in jail. This must stop. I call upon the government to be fair to an old human being, to release him at the very least on bail if the government insists on persisting with these far-fetched charges, but not to detain him in inhumane conditions for such an unconscionable period of time. I stand in solidarity with Fr Stan Swamy, as do millions of my fellow citizens around the country. Jai Hind.
Because you have been associated with St. Xavier, and St. Xavier has been known as a political center, and you people rarely speak on political issues. Personally, I feel it is not just a political issue, it is socially relevant thing also, and standing on certain issues is something which everybody should do. But why you think you have spoken and written on it? What was the triggering point for you?
The triggering point, you see, centered around Fr Stan Swamy, is that he has been fighting for rights in general of the tribal and Dalit community. He's been doing it for the last 5 decades. It's not just today. I am drawn to this issue because he is a fellow Jesuit. He is a Jesuit father, and we belong to the same society. Of course, he belongs to Jamshedpur province and I belong to Kolkata province. I have known him for many years, personally as well as a human rights activist. I have appreciated his work. See, when you stand for the rights of people, especially for the downtrodden people, for the tribal people, for the Dalit people, for women, for the poor, it's always you are termed as a terrorist. You are termed as a radical. Because these are the vibrant issues on which there is a lot of exploitation, there is a lot of injustice. You take, of course, the history of Jharkhand. See, many people have gone there in order to exploit the resources. And the poor tribal community is being exploited. And so the resources which they own, they do not reach them. It's going somewhere else. And so there are many industrial houses, many business houses, many Stan as well as other activists. There have been many incidents in the past. If you remember, there was one sister who was killed.
Yes.
And so many people have involved in this, especially Fr Stan Swamy has given a leadership. See, he is at 2 levels. One, of course, he is at the intellectual level. So that's where he has been vibrating with many intellectuals of the country. At another level is at the involvement level, at the grassroots level with the people. And so he has tried to balance these two. Intellectualism has no use unless it penetrates into the welfare of the people. And so I do research, not for the sake of doing research. I do research so that my people benefit. And this is what he has been doing. He has been doing a lot of research work. And that's where he was. The center in Ranchi is a research center, social center in which poor people are brought, they are informed, they are educated, they are told about what is happening at the grassroots level, and they are made aware of their own rights. This is what he has been doing. He is not doing against the government or against any organization or anybody. There is no question of being against. He has been for. He has been for the people, especially the tribal people. But if you take the whole country, he has been for both tribals as well as Dalits. He has joined hands with many organizations. It's not just be alone only in Jharkhand, because the issue of Jharkhand is not just the Jharkhand issue. It is an issue that is relevant to the whole country, because there are tribals in other parts of the country. And so he has joined hands with other people so that wherever there is an issue of Dalit injustice, wherever there is so he has joined hands with other activists. He has joined hands with people who are interested in this type of work, for the downtrodden people. And this is what he has been doing all through. He has never been against anybody. Of course, he has questioned the policies, he has questioned issues, like say for instance, the tribals have their own special policies. In the sense, they have to have a council in order to advise the governor. Now, there is a policy there, and this has never been used. That's what he's been questioning. He's been saying, but why is it not practiced? Why can't the government take steps to do this? Why are they just neglecting the people of Jharkhand, the tribal community? So he has been questioning the local government and the central officials and the organizations on many levels and many grounds. Now this has definitely created unpleasantness among those who are rich, among those who rule. This has been the issue. And so this issue has been going on for many years. He was raided, he was threatened, he was questioned, and finally, of course, he has been arrested. Now, I have this. If the government finds fault with anyone, it's true. Government can have a case. Government can have an issue. But my point is, you don't pick up an old man, an 83-year-old man, and then take him all the way to Mumbai and then lodge him in a jail. There must be certain amount of compassion. This is where I would like to plead to the leaders of this country, especially to the Prime Minister, to intervene, because there must be people like this. And why do we call them senior citizens? Why do we give them facilities? Why do we consider them in their travels? Why do we consider them in giving them, stipends? Because they are senior citizens. So where is the respect to this senior citizen? He was questioned for 15 hours prior to his arrest, and he was taken all the way to Mumbai and jailed. Is this the treatment? Do we give such a treatment to a child? This is what is injustice for me. Definitely, of course, if you have an issue, interrogate him. If you have an issue, arrest him. But there must be certain amount of compassionate issues. Okay, fine. House arrest him.
And yes, the video is about 30 minutes, so we are shorting it up. and we'll move on to the study session.
Yeah, 1 minute. Fabian, 1 minute.
Yeah.
The one who was giving the talk is Reverend Father Dr. Felix Raj. He's the Vice Chancellor of St. Xavier's University. He has been with ICA for about 40 years, right from when he was brother up to now. Father was fond of, actually, he built up ICA in Kolkata St. Xavier's. He was the one who was giving interview about Father Stan Swamy. Now it's over to Fabian. I will continue.
Anushka?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Should I start reading out my part?
Yes.
Okay, great. On 8th October 2020, 80-year-old Father Stan Swamy became the 16th activist to be arrested in the Bhima Koregaon case. A month previously, on 7th and 8th September, cultural activist Sagar Gorkhe, Ramesh Gaichor, Jyoti Jagtap.
Anushka, just check
Yes,
your
Father,
mic.
yes.
Some interference in your volume. Mic is not okay. It's not clear. Some problem with the mic.
Okay.
It's clear for me.
It's clear, Father. We all can
carry on. So I think it's my problem. Carry on.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, Father, that's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
A month previously, on 7th and 8th September, cultural activists Sagar Gorkhe, Ramesh Gaichor, and Jyoti Jagtap, members of Kabir Kala Manch, were also arrested in the same case. Since 2018, 16 activists, lawyers, poets, writers, cultural activists, and intellectuals who have worked for the rights of Adivasis, Dalits, minorities, and other marginalized groups over many decades have been jailed and falsely charged with sedition and the Draconian Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, UAPA. Tabin, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Anushka. And it's me. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
You're good.
Yeah. Mihir Desai, senior advocate at Bombay High Court, shared the history of Bhima Koregaon violence that led to the case. He pointed out that despite ample documentary evidence of an involvement of Hindutva leaders, Sambhaji Bede and Milind Ebot in the violence at Bhima Koregaon on 1st January 2018. The Pune police chose to investigate only accusations against Elangar Prasad and gathering organized by 250 Dalit and Bahujan groups and presided over by Justice Kolse Patel and Justice P.B. Sawat. He added the charge sheets relied entirely on unsigned, unverified, uncorroborated typewritten letters and the testimonies of a few witnesses whose name has not been revealed to the accused. As the lawyer, Mihir Desai As a lawyer, Mihir Desai clearly rubbished the evidence as unsubstantial and the charges as completely flimsy. The fact that the accused, especially the elder one, are being denied COVID bail point to intention to persecute. He added the central government ordered the NIA to take over the investigation.
Fabian, mute the mic in the cell phone. Your echo is there.
It's muted, Father.
Father, Fabian, sorry to interrupt, but the screen is not, the screen is blurred. Can you reload it again, please?
Yes, I think he has some network issues. His voice is breaking a lot.
Yes, maybe.
Could you share the screen again, please? Because the content on the screen is very blurry.
Now over to Cyprian Barla. Is there Cyprian Barla?
Yes, Father, I am here.
Yeah. Just read your portion. What Jharkhand
Okay,
Chief Minister?
Am I audible clearly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren, unable to join the press conference, sent a video message. He acknowledged Stan Swamy's work with the Adivasis and marginalized in Jharkhand since decades and strongly condemned his arrest. He added, "Today it is the issue of Stan Swamy. Today it will be your turn. Then it will be our turn. Tomorrow it will be your state. Today is our state." He strongly spoke against the attacks on values of federalism. He gave the example of the recent auction of coal blocks without any consultation with the state government. He appealed to all political parties to come together and oppose the growing attacks by the BJP-led central government on the civil liberties, federalism and the democracy itself. He especially said, when the country is subjected to anarchy, when Hitlerism is practiced at some places in the country, the opposition should not hesitate to stand together, irrespective of which political party they belong. Thank you, Father.
Febin, you are there? Febin?
Yeah, Father.
I just call the next one.
Ranjit?
Yes, Febin, I'm there. Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Mariana Kujur, the director of XISS Ranchi, talked of Stan Swamy's life, principles, and he said that Stan Swamy is not a tribal by birth, but a tribal by choice. He has written extensively on tribal assertion and against land displacement. Stan has always stood for inclusiveness, diversity, and for the poor. He raised a critical question that since 60 years, no one has ever raised such questions on him. And how come he became anti-national in the last 2 years? Thank you.
Thank you, Ranjit. And Soumya?
Yes.
Yeah, you can carry on.
DMK MP Kani Muse spoke strongly against the growing attacks on the right to dissent. The central government even used the pandemic as an opportunity to inflict anti-people laws on people. She added that is the time for people to break their silence, to gather and stand up together and fight against these attacks to save the country. Political parties have to make a choice at this time. Are they going to be silenced or subdued? Or are they going to fight for people rights, states' rights, and democracy? She also said that there's a need to repeat all the draconian laws such as UAPA.
Yeah, thank you, Soumya. And Sean?
Yeah. Sitaram Yekri, the General Secretary of the CPI, said similar to Bhima Koregaon case, in the Delhi riots case too, the perpetrators are going scot-free while the victims are being further victimized. He said that it is not a simple question of amending the UAPA. The entire UAPA law has to be repealed, along with sedition, since it is open to gross misuse. He said that UAPA, sedition law, and NSA need to be seen together as the part of the larger plan of the BJP and RSS to pave the way for a rapidly fascistic, intolerant, and authoritarian Hindutva nation. It is using central agencies to undermine the constitution while shielding the real perpetrators of violence. The need of the time is for all opposition political forces to come together to defend the secular democracy, constitution, and to preserve human rights values.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. And Ria, are you there? Amijit, can you see the screen?
Yeah, but it's not very clear.
Oh, I see.
I'm supposed. Should I read Ria Chako's?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool. I can read
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay. Jharkhand's tribal activist Dayamani Bala pointed out that Stan Swamy's arrest is part of the larger conspiracy to loot Jharkhand's natural resources, which are Jal, Jungle, Zameen. The need of the hour is for all people to come together, be it political parties, social activists, or writers and intellectuals, resist the illegal UAPA and declare that they will not give up the till the UAPA is repelled.
Yeah, thank you, Abhijit.
Cool.
Netaji?
Yeah. D. Raja, General Secretary of the CPI, remind everyone that during the Bhima Koregan violence, thousands of Dalits were not only attacked but they were also charged the violence in hundreds of cases. He recalled the CPI has opposed UAPA from the time it has introduced, has also pointed out the dangers of right-wing extremist organizations, which are trying to convert our democratic nation into a theocratic nation. When other parties only talk about left wing extremism, he also requested organizations and political parties to stand up for GN Sai Baba, who is being denied bail despite being 90% disabled. The central government is ruthless government and does not believe in constitution and democracy as opposed to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's vision and values. He also added that the larger fight is to call out the communal fascist ideology of RSS and BJP. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Netaji. And Nirmal, he is not there. Jessica, can you see the screen?
Yes, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, Shashi Tharoor, Congress MP from Kerala, unequivocally condemned the arrest of Stan Swamy, called the charges against his pre- preposters, and his arrest inexplicable. Seeking this immediate release, he recalled the extensive work that Stan Swamy had done with the Adivasis of Jharkhand and also that he had previously worked at the Indian Social Institute at Bangalore. He said that people like Stan should be wholeheartedly encouraged in their noble work and stated that he stands in solidarity with Stan Swamy.
yeah, thank you, Jessica. And Laurel,
Yes, Sabin. What should I read?
yeah, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah,
Yeah,
Rupali Jadhav. Okay. Rupali Jadhav or Kabir Kala Manch said that as the group always raised questions against anti-people policies of any government at power and hence they have always faced persecution. She said that her colleagues arrested in the case were being coerced by the NIA to give false evidence in a statement before a magistrate under the threat of arrest. They were being asked the implicate others who to implicate others who had already been arrested. They refused to do so and chose to face arrest. She added that despite evidence against Sambhaji Bhide and Milind Ikbote, leaders of the Hindutva organization, in the Bhima Koregaon violence, they are still roaming scot-free. On the other hand, organizations of Adivasis and Dalits, such as the Kabir Kala Manch, are being attacked by the government.
yeah, thank you, Laurel. Sorry. Aditya?
Yeah, he called upon the parties to give a pre-commitment to repeal of such laws if they come to power, if they came to power, as a part of the commitment to the democracy at large. Thank you. Over to you, Fabin.
Yeah, thank you, Aditya.
Yeah.
And Vishmita, are you there?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take Priyanka's part.
Yes.
Theodore Mascarenhas, the auxiliary bishop of Archdiocese Ranchi, called the arrest blot on the country's democracy and traditions. The Bhima Koregaon conspiracy case exposes the extent to which the central government is willing to undermine constitutional values and suppress dissent. All the civil society representatives and political leaders unequivocally condemned the Bhima Koregaon case, attack on democracy and federalism, and demanded immediate release of Stan Swamy and the other activists.
Yeah, thank you, Vishmita. It's for me.
Fabin, thank you.
Okay.
Fabin.
Yeah.
Now, is it possible for you to, did you locate that video, or I'll come there?
Yeah, you can come further.
Yeah. Now, before that, I'm just going to read out the PUCL demands from the central government, because we are also joining along with PUCL. ICAF also joins along with the PUCL, and then we express our demands from the central government. Number one, immediate release of octogenarians. Octogenarian means above 80 years old. Stan Swamy and Varavara Rao imprisoned in the Bhima Koregaon case. A 95% disabled professor Sai Baba kept in Anda cell in Nagpur Central Prison on humanitarian grounds to enable them to take appropriate treatment and care in a facility of their choices. Number two, dropping charges against all the 16 accused in the BK case, setting them all free, and closure of Bhima Koregaon conspiracy case. Number three, repeal of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967. Number four, all ICAFs together, we demand the immediate release of Father Stan Swamy, who has been the committed social activist on behalf of the Adivasis of Jharkhand. So here I stop now. Now just a few minutes, just give us about a few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes break, and then we'll come back to you to show a short video clipping. Then after that, we can go for discussion. Yes, Fabin.
Yeah, I got it further. I'll share it with you.
Yeah. Just you go ahead.
You're watching Reality Check. It's been close to a week since the NIA arrested Stan Swamy, the 83-year-old Jharkhand-based tribal rights activist and Jesuit priest, on charges of terrorism. In this time, the protest and the outrage on the streets and everywhere has only intensified. What we're playing for you now are videos of different protests that have taken place on the streets of Ranchi, Jharkhand since his arrest, where activists as well as non-BJP parties rallied in Stan Swamy's support, demanding his release. Also, a group of 2,000 signatories ranging from economists to lawyers and activists have signed a statement opposing his arrest. And today, unusually, a sitting chief minister, Hemant Soren of Jharkhand, has come out in Swamy's defense, addressing a press conference where he was joined by top opposition leaders from Kanimori to Supriya Sule and Shashi Tharoor to strongly condemn Swamy's arrest and demand his release.
केंद्र में बैठी एनडीए की सरकार किस तरीके से देश में आदिवासी, दलित, पिछड़े लोगों की बात करने वाले लोगों की आवाज़ों को बंद कर रही है। हमें स्टैन स्वामी को सकुशल घर वापस करने की मांग रखनी चाहिए और आज इस तरीके के घटनाएं ना घटे, ये कैसे सुनिश्चित हो, ये भी तय होना चाहिए। विधानसभा से लेकर लोकसभा तक से लेकर राज्यसभा तक हमारे चुने हुए जनप्रतिनिधि अपनी अपनी जगह पर आज इस विषय को जरूर फ्लैग करें, रखें। आज पूरी व्यवस्था को ये अपने पैरों तले रौंदने की तैयारी कर रहे हैं।
Okay, all of this not only speaks to Stan Swamy's legacy, but also to the serious question mark over the charges against him. Swamy has been booked in a 2-year-old case, what is known as the Bhima Koregaon case of 2018, where an annual Dalit event turned violent after clashes with the upper caste. The police had initially booked local right-wing leaders, but later charged and arrested 16 people who they claimed were part of a Maoist plot to incite violence. This includes scholars, lawyers, academicians, cultural activists, and human rights defenders. Now, bafflingly, 2 years later, they've arrested Swamy in the same case. In his 10,000-page charge sheet, the NIA has claimed that Swamy is a member of the banned CPI Maoist group, was in communication with other cadres and had received funds from them. He's the convener of a persecuted prisoners solidarity committee, which the NIA claims was a front organization for the Maoists, and also claims to have recovered incriminating documents from him. Now, incriminating documents, links to banned outfits, channeling of funds have become well rehearsed if vague assertions that have become a substitute for credible evidence. Anticipating arrests, Stan Swamy released a video in which he rebutted these charges against him, as well as outlining what he believes are the real reasons for the arrest.
I was interrogated for 50.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't stop that.
15 hours during a span of 5 days. Apart from my biodata and some factual information about Bagaita, about Patalgadi issue, about Bhima Koregaon movement, etc., for which whatever they asked I provided, and some persons whom I had come across in this process. They started to put before me certain extracts supposedly taken from my computer. So these extracts were all interpolations put into my computer. In this process, I have filed a case against the Jharkhand state in Jharkhand High Court on behalf of about 3,000 young Adivasis who are languishing in the jail. It is this which became a bone of contention with the state, and they wanted to put me out of the way. And one easy way was to implicate me in some serious cases. And this case, it so happened, the Bhima Koregaon, a place that I have never been to in all my life. I was implicated there. I was raided twice. First it was done by Pune police, then it was forcibly taken over by NIA. And finally, now they are even asking me to go to Bombay for further interrogation, which I am refusing to go because my age, I have certain ailments. There is the epidemic which is ravaging the country. And the Jharkhand government itself has given directions that elderly people may not travel or appear in public. And I hope all of us, all those who know me and who are concerned about me, will also be ready to face what is to be faced.
All right, joining me tonight on Reality Check, we have with us Mr. Banna Gupta. He is the Minister of Health and Family.
Yeah, Fabian, you can stop this video. Okay. Now we have listened to the press report of the PUCL with an idea of understanding this issue. Now, having listened here and there, if you have any questions, kindly you put in the chat box, or you can unmute your mic and then ask also. No problem. We can have little 5 minutes of discussion on this. Of course, here and there are difficult words for you, and then if you are accustomed to that, in course of time, you'll understand the meaning of these words. Fabian, if there are anything on the chat box, please let me know.
Okay, Father.
Friends, are we ready for a little discussion on this? Feel free to say.
Father, Cyprian is
Yeah.
asking what is PUCL?
This is PUCL is People's Union of Civil Liberties. People's Union of Civil Liberties. Some places, some states, it's called Civil Liberties. PUCL. Every state has got this particular association consisting of human rights lawyers mainly. They're always fighting for human rights violations of any type. Different people will be there. All those human rights activists will become members, particularly lawyers. As intellectuals, the group consists of intellectuals who work for social change. It's a kind of a registered body. They will always come to the rescue of others also, because they have a lot of lawyers. They'll all, whenever you court cases come, no, these people come to the rescue of people who are, who are victimized. They try to help out those who are victimized. Some states, the civil liberty is very active. Some states is not very active. That depends. This Bombay issue is clear to them. Pune issue. This Beam Koregan issue. Already we spoke about that. Even in our council also we spoke about that. That's nothing but, say 200 years ago, when Britishers are ruling, Britishers included, they gave opportunity for the Dalits to become soldiers. So the Maharashtra, the Maghar soldiers joined the British soldiers and defeated a Brahmin army. Peshawar, Maratha, Peshawar Brahmin army was defeated by the Dalits in collaboration with Britishers. So that always Dalits consider that is a kind of a victory of the Dalits, the power of Dalits. So centenary was celebrated again, the 200 years celebrated on the 1st January 2018. The previous day, there was a meeting of Dalit activists called Elgar Parishad. It's a meeting of 250 Dalits gathered together, and they had a planning meeting for the next day. Father Stan Swamy has nothing to do with this. He has not even gone to Pune. He doesn't know anything about this. But then he is implicated, saying that Maoists were behind this. Next day, there was violence. 1st January 2018, there was violence in Pune. In that violence, one person died and many were injured. And these Maoists were held responsible for the violence. And then father is unnecessary, not only father, along with that, even journalists, writers, activists, all these, even professors, even a person who is a handicapped professor, no, totally handicapped person, is arrested. He's in Nagpur jail. So this is really kind of a dangerous way in which the government is doing, because their purpose is to remove our Indian constitution, remove all the democratic rights, and then bring the total country under a kind of an authoritarian regime. They use a word called fascist. Fascism means like Hitler. Hitler was fascist who was ruling Germany, and he killed any number of Jewish people. Millions of Jews were killed in gas chambers. So like that, this particular type of a trend is coming, which is against democratic rights. That's why all those who are for democracy, they are all joining hands together to protect democracy in Indian constitution. So this is about that particular issue. And Father Stan Swamy, already I mentioned to you, he took up the causes of the innocent prisoners in the jail. In Jharkhand jail, with more than 3,000 people, they are not at all guilty. About out of 3,000, only 13 or 14 of them are guilty. But he documented information about them. That documentation is not accepted by the government because he is finding fault with the government. Another thing is the rights of Adivasis and their land rights, by which he was preventing the corporate companies from taking over. Corporate companies wanted to take over a vast portion of the land, which was prevented by the submission of the documents and court judgments, Supreme Court judgment. So Father becomes a headache to the corporate companies, the headache to the government which wants to exploit the land of the tribals. This is the now right now. ICAF stands for Adivasis, Dalits, and women. ICAF stands for justice and human rights. That's why we have taken up this issue, not because Father is a Jesuit priest. Father has worked as a human rights activist, and then we are fighting for Father Stan Swamy, we are also fighting for other 16 others who are arrested on false charges, because they are all fighting for human rights. So with these words, I am just winding up my talk, and then if there are no more questions, we can also wind up the session. And we were asked to express our protest through hashtags in Twitter. We will be sharing with you the 2 or 3 hashtags on which you can put up your demand, saying that Father Stan Swamy must be released, must be without any condition, like, at least he should get bail so that the old man, his health can be taken care of, and then people will believe that there's still democracy in the country. If he's denied bail, and then people lose their trust and hope in Indian democracy. Fabin, any more questions in the chat box?
No, Father. Father, also they can put forth the what they can, like what ICAF can do about this system, right?
Suggestions.
Yeah.
That will be afterwards. We see tomorrow we'll wait for the judgment, means whether Father is getting bail or not. As time progresses, and then we will take up once again. But now also they can always express. Today, at the moment, what is needed is they say 8 o'clock kind of hashtag storm, like, they talked about hashtag storm, and many of us putting up the message asking for the release of Father Stan Swamy. They believe that it may have some effect. Okay. Shall we close the session? We will share the hashtags with them. Anushka, is it all right?
Yes, Father, yes.
Yeah, shall we wind up this session? Hope it was useful. The students can share a little bit about how do you feel about this particular small study session?
Father, I would like to say that it was really nice, because I feel that not all of us knew all the aspects of what was happening. And through today, we got to know like all of what is happening, and how we can contribute through the Twitter storm. So it was really useful to us. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we will close the session now, because we have another meeting at 8:30. So thank you very much. And then try to upload on the hashtags your protest statements. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Febin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
for
Father.
coming.
Thank you, Febin.
Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye. Good night.
Thank
Have
you
a
all.
good day.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.